Hey everyone, very special video, this one. It is a ready to sell, ready to ship even, saber that I've been working on for a few weeks. I originally had one of these come across my desk about 3 weeks ago for a repair job. One of the plungers had gotten stuck and the owner, when the chassis was inserted, the plunger had ripped the button off, and so inside the saber things had made contact, shorted, and it had blown the speaker and damaged the soundboard. And as soon as it came in for the repair, I did the repair, sent it back to him. He was really happy with it. But while it was in my hands, I kind of fell in love with the hilt. I've always been a fan of the Obi Wan saber, particularly because Revenge of the Sith was one of the first Star Wars movies that I actually ever saw. I kind of came into the saga at the wrong time, in the middle somewhere. And it's a gorgeous saber. I love thin neck sabers. They're kind of a bitch to install, but they look incredible. And for this one, I wanted it to be really something special. So it is a weathered by Multiverse Props Obi Wan Kenobi Desert Wanderer saber, built by Elf Sabers, ELF Sabers, I don't know, and sold by Cal over at KRsabers or Saber Armory. It's gorgeous. It's incredible. I really love this hilt. It has a ridiculous amount of weight to it, and with the chassis inside, it's even heavier. This feels like the real deal. It's really impressive, and I am going to have to pick one up for myself now, basically. But yeah, let's get on with it. In terms of external modifications, I did very, very little. The hilt came to me in a fantastic condition. The only thing I did was put in a little shim ring down the bottom to clock the CoverTech knob 90 degrees, like it is in some of the other Kenobi set reference photos. I tinkered with the top section to get that threading nicely. Some of the threads have been glued in place because obviously it is a thin neck. There are electronics that live up inside the neck that you don't want to disturb, otherwise you risk damaging the saber. So all of this section up here is glued. The rest of it is kind of as is. It's a really, really nice saber. Let's take a look at the chassis. It is rocking a Goth 3 Designs master chassis, printed in natural brass and nylon, and then weathered and painted to try and match the feel of the actual hilt itself. So the pommel unscrews down the bottom. This is using the vented pommel cap for sound venting, so you can actually hear the damn thing. And then the entire chassis slides out in one smooth motion, carefully. And here it is. It's gorgeous. I love this. I really want to keep it, but unfortunately budget does not allow for that, so instead I'm having to sell this one. It is phenomenal. This is one of the nicest master chassis that I've ever put together, I think. Not just kind of, not tooting my own horn there, I mean like the design itself that Rick has done at Goth 3 Designs is remarkable. Crystal chamber pops open on a little hatch, and it's magnetized, that pops back into place. There's also a soundboard cover that lives up top. I have insulated the soundboard because the chassis is made entirely of metal, almost, and I don't want anything shorting out. So there's insulation tape on both the cover and the actual soundboard itself. In operation, when there's a battery in this hilt, I would recommend keeping this door closed so that nothing shorts up there. It's unlikely to happen, but if it does, you'll be very sad about it. Let's run through the components. So down the bottom we have a KRsabers 28mm bass speaker. An 18650 battery sits right here, just above the kill switch. Then we have accent lighting running down this lower section of the chassis. We have a single Neopixel illuminating the crystal inside the crystal chamber there, as well as a revolving motorized plasma gate. We have a KRsabers OLED screen in white up the top, behind a Proffieboard 2.2. And then we have a further additional 8 accent lights down the bottom. I didn't put there is a spot for a third switch up here. I didn't put that in because I didn't feel it was necessary. I didn't really see the point of having a third switch. I mean, you can put it in, and I did consider putting it into toggle low power mode on and off, but it's a very snug install even as it is, so I didn't want to go adding more components if I didn't absolutely have to. And then at the very top is a stock V3 Eco connector. The hilt itself, up in the top end, has a full V3 connector. So the top end has more LEDs. This has less LEDs because obviously it lives inside the hilt, so no big deal. Cosmetically and component wise, I think that's pretty much all I can say about this one. There's obviously 2 switches here. The problem that I faced with this other guy's Desert Wanderer that I did the repair on was this top switch here. So I don't think it's an issue on this hilt, but on his it was. So he had weathered it himself, and the problem is that he had gotten acrylic paint or some sort of oil wash inside this top button beneath the plunger. So when the plunger was depressed, it would sometimes stick. and that meant that one time he had pressed it and it had stuck down, and then he went to slide his eco chassis back in, and as he did so, the plunger, which was lower than it was meant to be, hit the top of the button, sheared it off, and then everything shorted. Bad times. So when putting this saber back together now, out of fear, I like to make sure that the plungers are fully kind of elevated by just tapping on the buttons a few times, tap, 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 just to loosen them and make sure they're not stuck on anything. I did clean out the inside of this one with some acetone, just to be safe. No problems that I can see so far, but be very aware that if you're not careful, you may shear off a button, and that will be a very, very sad repair job indeed. Let's get a battery in. So, I'm done talking about the cosmetics of the hilt. As gorgeous as it is, I have other things to show off. I don't want this video to go on forever, but at this rate it will. The battery hatch is magnetized and on a lever, so it just springs open like that. Battery is a copper-coated 18650 battery. The nipple side goes towards the battery contact that has the nipple on it. The flat side of the battery goes towards the spring down the bottom. So in this case, it's nipple towards the middle of the saber, if you're holding it this way up. Nipple pointing towards the crystal chamber, basically. Slide it in starting at the bottom though, because there's a little kind of notch on the battery chamber, which means it has to go in bottom side first. So bottom side goes in, slide it over, click it down, click, there we go. It is, and then just close the door. It's a very snug fit for the battery. I found that when getting the battery out of this chassis, I've had to use a pair of insulated, very important they're insulated, or plastic, even better, tweezers, push it in between the two positive contacts, in between the battery and the positive battery contact, and just kind of push it in and flick, and then it flicks the battery out. I have seen people get batteries out of these chassis that are particularly snug by tapping them on the table. Please don't tap this on the table. It's a very nice chassis. Don't go bashing it against things just to get the battery out. Enough talking. Let's fire it up. Kill switch. Go.
I have to face him, Master. Whether he dies or I do, this ends today.
So it comes with a few appropriately themed Kenobi fonts. We start with some kyberphonic Ben fonts, and then we move into some Vader fonts. And I think I put the second sister on there as well. I can't recall. I maybe did. But yeah, look at this, honestly. Rick has done an absolutely tremendous job. Just the sheer kind of logistical planning of fitting everything in here must have been a nightmare. I need to set up the OLED animations still. I've got 2 animations to add on, which I custom made, which I need to do. But other than that, if I just power it off, you'll see you get the usual proffie boot animation.
I have to face him, Master.
Instead.
Whether he dies or I do, this ends today.
It's out of focus. That's the battery level. We're at like, what, 80% is that maybe? And this is the chassis. So it's got a bunch of features. It uses the FET263 button prop, which I will send you a link to. And it basically means that there's the power and the activation buttons, and they can work together in combination to do different things. It's also got gesture controls. The main one I go for being twist on. And obviously all the accent lights change and they all do different things. And it's different per sound font. Each sound font has a different blade style. The config is very, very full on this one. You can hear the crystal chamber spinning. It is kind of whiny. So to combat that, I have implemented a power saving mode, which basically disables the crystal chamber. And to do that, you hold it upright and you press and hold click power while holding auxiliary. Or it's the other way around, I can't remember. Let me check. Hold this. Not that way around. There we go. Oop. There we go. It's low power mode, and I've also made the blade white. Change the color. I want to go blue. Where's blue? There we go. Let's try and get low power mode again. There we go. Yeah, so it's hold power, click auxiliary. No, sorry, other way around. Hold auxiliary, click power. I will send this written down. This is my 4th video of the day, okay? I'm very tired. And then in low power mode, obviously you don't get the hum of the crystal, but it's a bit less visually interesting. Let's turn it off. Getting it into the hilt is something that I need to cover. So, like I said, the buttons can shear. It's a full metal hilt. Things can short. You don't want that to happen. So I like to make sure that the hilt is ready to go and I'm not going to need to mess with it afterwards. So the button plungers, just looking inside the actual hilt itself, they're fully ascended. You can see the connector that it will make contact with there inside these pins on top. The plungers are fine. They look nice and loose to me. They're not stuck on anything. I'm just going to shove my finger inside and check and make sure that they're fully up, which they are. So I'm happy with that. For safety, I will always turn the chassis off when it's going in and out of the hilt, just to be safe, because if these pins make contact with anything while there's power running to the board, you risk shorting it, and that will be very bad indeed. The chassis will only go in one way. There is a groove in the chassis that aligns with some set screws under the control box on the clamp. And obviously the two buttons need to align with the two buttons on the hilt itself. So just do it by eye. Try and get it right first time. You don't want to be like jamming it in and out and rotating it and all sorts. That will end very badly. So I will line up these buttons as best I can by eye, and then just slide it in one smooth movement, gently, gently. If you feel any resistance at all for whatever reason, stop. Don't force it because you'll break it. Slide it all the way down like that, and then I'm just going to check the buttons, make sure they still kind of actuate properly. That one sounds good. That one also sounds good. We're away. So when it's in properly and seated, it'll stop against these kind of little protrusions on the chassis. It won't go any further than that. You'll get this little bit sticking out. And then you can screw the pommel back on. Pommel's pretty snug, but it'll go. I did print a spacer ring that lives down in the bottom to offset the chassis a little bit, because I found that the speaker was pushing up against the pommel cover, the pommel cap. So I had to print a little spacer ring. It'll be quite snug. You want it quite snug, but not like overly tight, if that makes sense. I forgot to turn it on. Jesus Christ. I'm having a real day. I'm very tired. Slide that back out. Let's come out just a touch. Power it on.
That's not how it works.
There we go. That's not how it works. Yeah, if it's not turned on, that's definitely not how it works. Screw it in, nice and snug. And that's it, we're away. It's got gesture controls, like I said, twist on, twist off, but let's just do a standard power activation. This thing is incredibly loud, it's incredibly bright, it's incredibly heavy. It is a real unicorn piece, it's a showstopper. I love it, I wish I could keep it, but instead it has to go to a happy home. So, here we go.
Obi Wan Kenobi.
That was change font. That was a Phantom Menace font.
What is it? Where is he?
Bit of Vader. All the usual Proffieboard bells and whistles. I'll tuck a blade in just to show you that that works. Doing blades with this one, it has a like a display emitter which has no set screws around it and is a slightly different diameter. In order to put a blade in, you will need to swap it for the blade emitter, which is slightly different, less accurate to the show, but has more blade depth. So this entire top piece will unscrew like this, whoa, and then the blade plug will come out. It's just a little tiny stubby blade plug, and here you can see the stock V3 connector there. Grab your blade retention emitter cap, screw that one on gently. Please be gentle with the threads, they are delicate. Screw that all the way on, pop the blade inside. I probably will need to retention this one in place because the blade is not particularly snug on this one. There are 3 set screws. Because it's a thin neck saber, you want a lot of even support on every side. Because it's a thin neck saber and because it's a master chassis, it is not for dueling. Do not duel with it. If I find out you have, I will be very, very upset. Give that a twist. There we go. We're in. We are retained. Let's fire it up. This is the Rogue One variant of Vader. So it's a little bit more kind of orange than red. That was the wrong button. just turn off the motor. It's got all the usual features. I'll just start it in silent mode so we can run through some. Obviously the auxiliary button does most of your features when the blade is turned on. So it's click for the blaster blocks. If you press and hold, you'll enter blaster deflect mode, which means every time you swing, you'll get a blaster block, and then you can tap it to toggle out of that. If you press and hold auxiliary and click power, you'll enter force lightning block, which flickers the blade. All of the blade styles and their various effects are color tuned to how they are in the various things that they represent. So for instance, this Vader font from, I just touched the lightsaber blade, that would have killed me, stupid. This Vader font reflects the colors that they are in the sequels, because this is a Rogue One Vader font. Not a Rogue One Vader font, sorry, in the original trilogy, because that was a Vader font from Empire Strikes Back. Whereas this one will be a nice rich blue, because it's from Kenobi, which is technically a sequel thing. And the color flashes for blaster blocks and stuff are different as well. They're in the sequel trilogy, they're more of like a cyan than the bright yellow that they are in the others. I think that covers pretty much everything. I said I didn't want to ramble, and I've ended up doing it anyway. This is a really, really, really wonderful hilt. I hope it finds a very happy home. It's also a fingerprint magnet, my god. I love it to pieces. I'm going to get one for myself, but maybe not with the master chassis. We'll see. I do have a couple master chassis sabers myself already. I probably can't spring for another one. I love this hilt a lot. I put a lot of time into it. A lot of detailing work on the inside, a lot of weathering, a lot of staining, a lot of etching. Not etching, chemical weathering, to make sure that it looks the part and fits the hilt that it's inside, which has been so wonderfully weathered by Josh over at Multiverse Props. It's fantastic. I'm not just biased because I'm trying to sell it. I truly mean that. This is an amazing hilt. Cal's done an amazing job. I don't know how hands-on Cal was with the design of this one, but it's fantastic. It's machined so well. Everything is really, really perfect. Everything aligns perfectly. The chassis is a fantastic fit. Rick did an amazing job, and with a bunch of kyberphonic sound fonts on here, it really is a fantastic showpiece. I do not have enough nice things to say about about this hilt. I really hope that someone picks it up. The money that comes from this will be used to fund other projects. I'm kind of designing more chassis myself, trying to get into that. I loved putting this one together. I will have to pick one up for myself one day, not today, but hopefully this finds a very, very happy home. If you've got any questions about it, if you want to see more photos, if you want to see more demo videos of it, do let me know. I'm always happy to talk about sabers. I love doing this. And I love making sure that people get the product that they want. So if you have any questions, any concerns at all, please let me know. It's available on my website at a cheaper price because I don't have to pay fees there. And it's also available on the Etsy or via PayPal transfer. That's pretty much it. It can be shipped whenever, ready to go, insured. We can make any changes to the config or the sound fonts that you want within reason. I can update blade styles, do whatever. I can also throw in a blade for you at a discounted price if you're looking for a blade too. So that's it. This is the KRsabers / Elf Sabers Desert Wanderer, weathered with a Goth 3 Designs Metal Master chassis, also weathered, also painted, and a bunch of kyberphonic sound fonts. I hope you've enjoyed watching. It's been a real pleasure to put this one together. I love talking about it. As you can tell, I haven't been able to shut up about it for almost 20 minutes. I hope it finds a very happy home. Thank you for watching, everybody. May the force be with you, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.